Welcome back to another edition of the Educational AD Podcast. We couldn't do these without the incredible support of our sponsors, and we want to start by saying thank you to all of them. First, thanks to our diamond sponsor, Varsity Brands, including BSN, Varsity Spirit, and Herff Jones. Varsity Brands, elevating student experiences in sport, spirit, and achievement. We also want to thank our diamond sponsors, Ephesus Lighting, innovating a brighter future at every level. Yeoman Gear, always a step ahead. Camp Mobile, where teams communicate better. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. And Vital Signs, bring student achievements to life. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest today is Kaleb Stoppel. Kaleb is a certified master athletic administrator, and he's currently the director of athletics at Olathe East High School in Olathe, Kansas. Kaleb, welcome to the podcast.
Jake, I appreciate it, and thanks for the opportunity to join you today. I'm looking forward to it.
We're very excited. I think you might be our first official Kansas AD, so good luck.
All right. Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, as you know, the life of an athletic director these days especially is very busy, so we're going to jump right into things. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school and college, and maybe how your love of sports helped lead to that first job as a teacher and a coach.
Yeah, definitely. So I was born and raised in small town in Kansas. You know, I didn't grow up on a farm, but my parents did, and we grew up out in western Kansas, close to the Colorado-Kansas border. And then actually later on, when I became kind of in middle school, family moved out to eastern Kansas around some of the larger towns like Topeka and Kansas City and such. And so kind of got a good taste for both of those different dynamics. You know, grew up in a family of educators. My mom, a longtime music teacher, now retired. My dad, a longtime administrator, elementary principal, was my own principal for a number of years as a kid. So thankfully I didn't get sent to the office too many times. I quickly learned the lesson of that, but, definitely got to grow up in an educational sound house and spending a lot of time before school up in the gym, after school in the music room. So, went to a smaller school though, was a 3-sport athlete in high school, and went on to go to the University of Missouri in Kansas City, known as UMKC, Kangaroos, and kind of a smaller D1 school, AA. And I ran track and field there and had a great experience there. I was a high jumper or long jumper primarily. When they needed a 4x4 C team, they threw me in there, so definitely not the fastest 4x4, but really enjoyed my time there. That's where I had the opportunity to earn secondary math education degree. From there, got my first teaching job up in the North Kansas City School District, larger school district, maybe about 15 to 18,000 kids, 4 high schools. And that's where I got my start as a math teacher and a coach. Spent 5 years there at Winnetonka High School up in North Kansas City there. And basically taught everything, coached everything from football to cross country to track to girls swim. And got my head coach experience coaching track at an early age, and that was kind of my fondest love from the sports as they pertain. But got my head coaching experience there. While I was up there coaching and teaching, decided that I was on fire to pursue a larger impact. I loved the classroom. I loved interacting with the kids in the classroom. I loved the opportunities that coaching obviously provided, but I was very hungry for that larger impact that I could have on others. And again, growing up with a dad that was an administrator, I jumped right into those master's classes and that master program in administration, and enjoyed every moment of it. And in fact, it's kind of ironic, things you can't quite anticipate when you're in the seat, but I graduated from William Woods University, where I had the pleasure of, coming in contact with some of my most closest mentors that I stay in contact with today. And now I find myself as an adjunct instructor for that same program that impacted me several years ago. So, finished my admin degree, met a girl. She was over on the Kansas side, and decided I should probably look to relocate over there. So went back to Kansas, and that's where I entered the Olathe School District and became a high school math teacher and head track coach again. And there I started pursuing my educational specialist degree through St. Louis University, and eventually led into my doctorate degree also through St. Louis University. So spent 5 years at the high school level as a high school teacher and coach, and then found my first opportunity in administration. So I'm entering my third year as an administrator. My first year was spent as a middle school assistant principal and athletic director. And then now I find myself in my second year here at Olathe East High School.
Wow, that's a great background, a lot of variety of experiences. I'm sure you put them all to use in dealing with your kids and your programs now. Kaleb, you touched on it a little bit. In our profession, we always talk about the importance of leadership and mentorship. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned briefly some of your mentors. Who were those mentors growing up? Maybe coaches you had, or people that you worked with or worked for?
Yeah, that's such a powerful and exhaustive question. And, I could easily start naming off some names, but also I can't either. It's one of the things that's almost an impossible task, because right now I feel like when I think back on my mentors, I think more on those characteristics, and I do see some faces, but I see those people that inspired me, that taught me, maybe it was even one brief lesson along the way, or maybe it was an everyday lesson. And those are the people that I still call today for advice. And so those were people, like I said, through my master's in administrative program, who were area principals, superintendents. They've moved on to different districts. They're now colleagues and friends. Some folks that I began my educational career, and some of our common acquaintances like Dixie Westcott, who is a star around this area in athletics administration. Those are the folks that come to mind when I think of who can I call for assistance. Right now in Olathe, we have 5 high schools here. We're a school district of about 30,000 students. The other 4 high school athletic directors and our district athletic director are stand-up individuals, and I consider those guys mentors in a sense, because I learn from them daily. We help each other, we collaborate. So I feel fortunate to just have interacted with so many people along the lines. And I know I probably should have started with this, but, including my parents. I think with the values and what they exposed me to and the opportunities at a young age, but also now, I'm grateful to live down the street for them still, and they're retired and get to spend time with my own children. It's just that ongoing life process of involving yourself around others who are going to make you a better person. They're going to push you. They're going to impact you.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think we can minimize the impact that parents often do have. I look at my own father. He really didn't care that much about sports, but he was there at my games, and, he would encourage me because he knew I liked it. And I think the greatest lesson he taught me was he loved what he did. He didn't consider it work. I hated it. He was a contractor. My brothers and I had to work for him weekends and summers, and I hated every minute of it, but he loved every minute of it. And, I just saw that passion that he had for his job. And so, giving me that work ethic and that desire to find something that I love to do, I'm very thankful for that impact that he had as my mentor.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Let's talk a little bit about Olathe East. You mentioned that you've been there a few years now. What were some things that when you first arrived, that you are seeing with what we call fresh eyes, that you thought, well, hey, that's a pretty good job, but I think we can do better? Or what was something that you brought in brand new that you're particularly proud of?
hmm Yeah, I tell you, our community and our school is interesting. We are the third out of five. We're the third oldest, so we do have some tradition. We just this is our 27th year in existence, and we're a very successful school, and it's not just with our athletics. We just earned our 53rd state title in just those 27 years. So a couple years ago, before my time here, we had a large celebration of 50 state titles in 25 years. And so the community is very proud of our athletics. But I would also, very, very much pronounce that we're more proud of our arts. We're more proud of our academics. Our theater, our choir, our band and orchestra programs are bar none some of the top in the area. And so it's great and it's refreshing being a part of a community and a school that, although values our own particular programs, as a full community, we have many celebrations to be excited about. And so, when I came on the scene here and spent a good quality amount of time getting to know the school, because the ironic thing about this, the previous Olathe school that I came from was kind of the rival of Olathe East. I came from Olathe South, and Olathe South is blue, Olathe East is bright orange, and I'll tell you what, those blue and oranges did not match. They did not mix, and that was evident when we played our crosstown basketball games and football games. But it was very nice coming to this community and seeing the pride that our programs have, but then also understanding that, times are changing, dynamics are changing. Our socioeconomic levels are drastically changing and continuing to change over the past couple years, in that they are increasing. We're serving a different type of student, type of family than this school has been used to in a very long time. And so what it comes along with that is a need for our own dynamics to change the building. The principal that I work with now has been here for a couple more years than I have. And in the time that we've had to work together, we filled new teacher roles, we filled new head coaching roles, and our staff dynamic very much embraces the celebrations that we have in our diversity, in our school community, our student community, as well as our staff community. And that's a pretty special thing. So to kind of answer your question, I looked at all those factors considered, and I said, how do we continue to spotlight, something we're very proud of, which is our athletic programs, while also maintaining, and if not just maintaining, but strengthening a perception of, hey, we're proud of a lot of things here. And as the AD, not only am I super proud of our athletic programs, but I am extremely excited and proud for our theater department. I am extremely proud of the number of clubs and activities that we offer kids. And I think, it comes down from our administrative team through all of our programs that we oversee, that we value inclusivity. We're excited about everything that it means to be an Olathe East Hawk. And so when it comes to how I promote our athletic programs, I always look for opportunities to remind everyone, all of our stakeholders, that yes, this is a standout basketball program and a basketball player, but you know what? That's a standout student athlete. And this kid is also involved in maybe our peer mentor group. And he's going and he's outreaching to the middle school and the elementary school and some community service opportunities with those areas. I think it's special that we support our kids to be well-rounded kids.
No, absolutely. Again, I'm at a private school, you're at a public school, but 100% of our kids are going on to college. And so, they're looking, our parents and our students are looking for that well-rounded experience. So, absolutely supporting those other programs. Let's talk a little bit about your path with KIAAA and the NIAAA. We have a lot of younger athletic directors that listen to our podcast, and I think it's interesting for them to hear the journey that we take from, first getting, first graduating, first teaching and coaching, getting that first AD job, to getting involved with our state and hopefully the national organization. So share a little bit about your journey with KIAAA and NIAAA.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't talk more positively about the role that an association or a group of fellow colleagues, and that might be the first place to start. When you are maybe a young, fresh athletic director, even administrator entering this world, you got a lot of stuff coming at you. The analogy of drinking, out of a fire hydrant is an understatement, I think, for a new administrator and or athletic director. And so I think the more opportunities you can find to surround yourself amongst similar colleagues that you can feel safe, comfortable, excited around, the better. And it wasn't until just lately that I started branching out and kind of looking to discover what is out there and getting familiar with some of the other state associations. Twitter is an amazing tool. And, I try to use that as a tool to promote and recognize my student athletes, my program, my coaches. But on the same token, I feel like I'm on fire this year as still, now I'm in my third year. I'm not brand new, but I'm definitely, hoping to go a lot longer here. And I'm on fire for learning what life in the athletic administration world looks outside of my geographic location of Kansas, and that's what associations do. And so as a first year athletic director and even as a middle school athletic director, if I have any regrets, it would be to go back in time and pursue the state level association as a middle school athletic director. At that time, I kind of didn't know what I didn't know. And I don't think I knew, what a state association was. Now I think that the state association, to my knowledge, being on the board of directors now with KIAAA, I know we do a great job at advertising ourselves across the state to all middle school, high school activity and athletic directors. But at the time, I think, I couldn't see farther than an inch away from my nose as a first year administrator. And so I was not involved that first year. But as soon as becoming a high school assistant principal and athletic director, immediately getting involved with KIAAA, experiencing in-person networking and professional development that your state level conferences and clinics involve, as well as just having that network power, knowing who the statewide athletic directors were that I could call, and knowing a face to that email so that I could pick up the phone and call them. And then, past that, getting involved with the LTC courses. I mean, what I am promoting to any and all athletic director, whether young or old or new or experienced, is if you're not taking classes, you're not growing and you're not learning. And if you have the opportunity to do so, even if heaven forbid you got to chip into your own pocket every once in a while, it's money well spent because it helps you grow your own impact in how you are helping other coaches, other athletes, your kids. You can't put a price on that. And so, quickly getting into, working on taking LTC courses at state level associations, having the opportunity to go to the national conference and taking classes there. That is just irreplaceable. And the content learned from that, it's things I still use every day now. I have my bookshelf of my notebooks and my manuals and my books, and truly it's stuff that you use every day. So that was kind of where I started. And then this year, stepping into the year, I was on fire to start giving back. And I think that's what led me to looking at what's out there. That's how I had the pleasure of kind of stumbling on you and the great work you're doing by putting more resources out there to ADs as this podcast, but then also have the pleasure of kind of working with you through my CMAA process. And, I had the pleasure in having you work with me through that and even being my reader for that process. So I think if you are a person that is on fire to be a lifelong learner, which who isn't if you're in school administration and school leadership, then you will find yourself experiencing an immense amount of benefit by being involved in your state level association and the national level association, if simply for the opportunity to network and to get to know and to be able to have resources at your fingertips, because we're not at this alone. We may feel like it sometimes, but we are not.
Oh, I appreciate you sharing that. And again, you mentioned a couple things. Starting out, you don't know what you don't know, and your state association could be a tremendous resource in getting you started. And for those of you that are thinking about doing your CMAA, either soon or down the road, as a member of certification, I can tell you that we are not looking for people to go out and create some brand new, never been done before project. Right now, I guarantee you as an athletic administrator, you're doing something at your school that would make a great CMA project. Maybe it's with your kids or your coaches or your parents or facilities. Um, Pick something that you are passionate about, and then it's simply a matter of documenting and telling your story. And Kaleb, again, he did a great job with his project. Coach, let's go ahead and talk about COVID. Certainly a topic these days. Certainly it's had an impact on schools and athletics. And disclosure, we are recording this on September 1st. And when it airs, hopefully, we'll be in a much better place. But we've seen a lot of different responses from states and from state associations. Some states are switching seasons. Football's in the spring. Others are business as usual. Hey, we're going to play. So for right now, Kaleb, what's happening in Kansas and what's happening at Olathe East with regards to return to school as well as return to play?
Yeah, so the state of Kansas just took a pretty big turn in this past week. Up until that point, different districts have been allowed to do what your county has allowed you to do, maybe what your local school district has allowed you to do. But our state association has not jumped in and taken a one-size-fits-all approach because, quite frankly, and probably not too much different from many states across the nation, we have smaller pockets, rural pockets that may not have a large impact from COVID. Here in the Kansas City area, and particularly, I'm in the Johnson County side, so the Kansas side of Kansas City. We have 3 large major school districts in Johnson County, as well as 3 or 4 more school districts, and we are on a complete different level than a lot of other areas in Kansas. The Wichita, Kansas is a large community. In fact, their school district, we think we're big in the Johnson County area. Wichita Public Schools serves just under 50,000 kids. And so, they are also battling their own challenges, similar but different in even our large respect. So we do have a lot of various needs, and the state association has made it clear that, they are going to give opportunity to those that can play, as they should. And then those that they cannot, they trust those local counties, those local school districts. The governor has had to step in a couple times, and that it may happen too if things get bad. So where we are right now is the board of directors for the Kansas State Association recently met and voted to basically approve to modify our current handbook rules to allow for fall sports to move to spring if that particular school district does not deem an opportunity to play fall sports in the fall. So previously, it wasn't even possible for a fall sport to even be considered for the spring because, like many states, our handbook specifically detailed that fall sports, football, for example, will start on this day and will end on the state championship. And so even if we wanted to move it to the spring, our rules would not allow us to. And so having the board of directors place this vote and vote in favor for this does not require all schools to move, because again, we have some schools that may be able to play an entirety of a season this year. Some may not even sniff one game. But this vote allows a school district to make the decision to move fall sports in their entirety. So we're not picking sport by sport, but move fall sports to the spring and essentially play them at the same time spring sports. There's a couple other kind of different factors involved, but the gist of it is we are allowed to move. Now, boy, are there some pros and cons with that? You better believe it. And, unfortunately, and I think more of our stakeholders in our community are recognizing the challenge, and because we think that looks really good on the surface to move it to the spring. Why not? They say that's an easy solution. Well, unfortunately, it's not too easy, especially when you consider our spring sports and their season. And like many others across the nation, but in Kansas, we didn't get a spring season last year. We didn't get off the ground, and that's when COVID, of course, was at its initial, existence, and we didn't get a spring season. And so right now we are empathetic to our spring sports, and we have concern of moving the fall sports to the spring, because now it puts, our multi-sport athletes in jeopardy of making a decision. It puts our coaches who coach a fall and a spring sport at jeopardy to have to, how do you share your time? But on the flip side, I don't think anyone wants to be the lead decision maker that has to tell a coach or has to tell a senior student athlete to their face that, I'm so sorry, but we can't play in the fall anymore, and we can't move it to the spring. We're choosing not to. And I won't lie to you, it's tough right now, and there's going to be some decisions that have to be made. We're going to do what's right for kids, and we're working with our league to determine how to be equitable even amongst all of our league schools. And it's just a reminder that COVID is messy, and we have to do our best to instill patience and grace to our coaches, who therefore can hopefully keep our athletes calm and positive. But there's some decisions that are coming up that will definitely impact what the spring looks like.
Yeah, boy, that's definitely presents some challenges, as you said. Wish you all the best with that. Kaleb, another question we've been asking our athletic directors revolves around, social issues. This past spring, in Minneapolis and Atlanta, and now recently in Wisconsin, we've just seen a increased awareness regarding, social issues, social justice. And my question is, what are some things that we can do as athletic administrators, with our kids, with our coaches, with our community, to do a better job in this area of social awareness?
Mm-hmm. It's pretty darn new on our end too. I mean, and who is it not around the nation? And so, I don't think anybody has the answer or even a great answer right now. But I think the immediate part that we are all aware of, and we have to be aware of, is it has to be addressed right now. And I think that is our immediate change that we are implementing as a school district, as a school, and therefore drilling down past our school into our athletic programs, is we have to, as adults, understand and be comfortable with the fact that we have some things that need to be discussed. We have to show our students, not just tell, but show them that we value them, we listen to them, and that this is an ongoing dialogue. On the first day of school, for example, we haven't started school here yet. We're going to start the day after Labor Day weekend on September 8th. But one of the very first things that we are doing with our students is we are sitting down and we're talking about, not COVID necessarily, that's going to be a piece of it. We're talking about the unrest that's happened across the nation. And we are inviting them into a conversation and sharing that we do hear them. And we are listening, and that we as adults and kids, it's not about adults and kids anymore, but it is about the Olathe East community and family, that we need to sit down and we need to talk about this, and not adults talking at kids, but we hear you and we're listening now, and we're going to be quiet now, and I think that our students are ready for that. I think that they've been asking for that for a long time. I think we're seeing that in the nation now. And so, to answer your question, this type of paradigm and culture flows directly through our various programs when it comes to athletics and activities. This does not just start and stop at a particular homeroom class, if you will. This is our culture now. It's our identity now. We value and we trust everyone's voice. We are listening, and that is going to continue to flow through our athletic programs. And I think our coaches have done a good job already this summer of being available, understanding when their students, when their athletes need. Made a great example of when to kind of stop practice, if you will, stop the athletic growth, and say, hey, guys, girls, let's get together. Let's talk about this. What's on your mind? And that's the power of athletics. That is the power of interscholastic athletics, that we can recognize that the work we do extends far past the sport itself, far past the results of winning or losing, but it helps truly provide a platform and a meaningful moment in these young adults' lives that could really impact them forever. And I think this, opportunity, but also challenge right now that we have in front of us is no different.
I just think that's such a great idea, to meet with the students. Hopefully you'll, record that. I think that could be a great, piece of material moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kaleb, this has just been fantastic. Again, we've talked to each other through email and tweets and things like that, but it's always great to meet someone face to face, even if it is through Zoom. But we're not done yet. We always like to wrap up with what we call the athletic director's toolbox. You are now an experienced AD, and your task is to send a brand new athletic director out, but I'm only going to allow you to put 3 items in their toolbox. What 3 things are going to go in Kaleb Stoppel's athletic director toolbox?
Mm-hmm. So, these tools and their characteristics, but it's something that, going back to our beginning of our conversation, that I haven't wavered too far from when, my upbringing, things that my mom and dad instilled in me from a very early age that I kind of rolled my eyes at for a while probably. But then, as I'm a dad now to some young kids, find myself infusing into them. And quite honestly, when I became a coach myself, things that I preach to kids, and now that I've become an athletic director, it's what I offer and preach to my coaches, because my job as an athletic administrator is to grow and enrich the role of my coaches so that they can in turn do that to the student athletes. And so I'll kind of give 3 characteristics that not only do I live my life by, but I think that if any athletic director gave a laser focus to these, not only would they enjoy what they do, but they would be able to have a positive impact. One of them is just show up and be present, and so as an athletic director, and especially as an assistant principal and athletic director, you're going to be busy. You're going to have phone calls, you're going to have emails. As an administrator, you're going to have things maybe on top of all that, like discipline, like attendance, like parent phone calls, curriculum, working with teachers. You're going to be busy, but there is nothing more impactful than being physically present, whether it's practices, whether it's stopping by your coach to see how they're doing, whether it's sending maybe a quick thank you note, to them. But don't forget to take the moments to be present. The second thing is work hard. This is not a job for someone that, either whether they intend to or not, take the easy road. This is the job where if you're not showing up early and leaving late, there might be some more things that you can do. Now, granted, I'll say that with the caveat that balance is extremely important. So you better be careful about how much extra time you're spending. But, you need to work hard. And I think work ethic is contagious. I think work ethic is respected. And again, these are not just only things that will impact an athletic director around those, but are tools that, if modeled by an athletic director to their coaches, the coaches will instill these characteristics to their own student athletes. What was the third? I had it on my mind. Hang on a second. Well, the third piece is, the third piece is simply always do your best, always try, and guess what? You're never going to always be successful. You may shoot for the stars, and you're going to come up a little bit short, maybe, especially if you are a new athletic director. But again, if you are out there giving 100% effort, working hard, being present, that is going to be contagious. People are going to look at you and they're not going to doubt that you don't care, because you do care, but you can't really see caring. You can see the characteristics that show people that I'm all in, I'm invested. And then that's how you motivate others around you. That's how then people, a culture is impacted because we're positive, we're hard workers, we're showing up, and you know what? We're having fun. So I'm actually going to bend your rules a little bit. The fourth thing I was going to kind of say is don't forget to have fun. We have the best job in the world as athletic administrators, that we get to be around sports every day, whether that's, in, practices, competitions, talking about sports. We get to be around sports. And there's a lot of people in this world that have jobs that has nothing to do with sports except for, watching some Monday night football. But we get to be around sports, and we get to be around high school athletes, because these are some of the best times of these young adults' lives, as they were for us. And we get to be a part of that. So, I mean, yeah, if ADs can embrace those things and push themselves with those things, not only are they going to love what they do, but they're going to love who they do it with, and the people around them are going to be motivated and love what they do.
Well, I'm going to allow you that fourth item, but
Thanks. Sorry for the audible.
Great stuff. Really appreciate you sharing today.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. And again, I wouldn't have stumbled upon you if I wasn't, an athletic director looking for resources and looking for what's out there. And in stumbling upon this, you've already helped impact me in giving me access to networking with some individuals I've never personally met, but I've learned from through listening to the podcast, through networking with some individuals. So I appreciate what you've done to give back to the profession, back to those around us. And I appreciate being part of your journey.
Well, thank you very much. And you're right. We do have the best job. We get paid to, go to games and go to practices and hang out with great people. Thanks a lot. Okay. Well, to our listeners, thanks as always for tuning in. Please come back again next time for another episode of the Educational AD. Thanks again for listening to the Educational AD podcast. The video component is available on YouTube under the Educational Athletic Director. Thanks again. Please come back for our next episode.